Scotty2Hockey here, aka the Average Hockey Fan once again, and the official training camp roster for the Montreal Canadiens has been released. 57 players are going, and I will tell you every single player that is going to the Montreal Canadiens development camp. 12 junior age players have not been invited to the camp. They were cut from the rookie tournament. Notable name, the most notable name to me is Raphael Harvey-Pinnard. I believe his first name's Raphael. I could be wrong on that, but his last name's Harvey-Pinnard. This guy really impressed me at the rookie tournament. I know Montreal didn't do as well as people projected they would do and people expected. They were also brutal last year. Well, Kotkaniemi was for sure. But I'm really surprised this kid didn't get a shot. But anyways, the notable junior age players that are going to be at camp. Gianni Fairbrother got invited, but I believe he's injured. Can't say that for 100%, but I believe he's injured. And Liam Howell got invited. So those are the only junior age players going. Now, as for the forwards, we have Morgan Adams Mason, a right winger from the AHL/CHL. We have Alexander Elaine, a right winger from the 2018 undrafted. He's a 2018 undrafted free agent, excuse me. And if I butcher some of these names, I'm sorry, guys. Some of these names are really hard to pronounce. I went through the list earlier trying to pronounce them all just to practice. And even then, it just saying them 2 or 3 times in a row is so brutal. Like, people think Kotkaniemi is a hard name. Some of these names are hard names to pronounce. Yoel Armia, right winger, he's going to camp. Riley Barber, right winger, he's another kid going to camp. Alex Belzile, he's another guy going to camp, right winger. A player we all love in Montreal, Paul Barman, left winger, he'll be at camp for sure. Joe Cox, right winger from the AHL/CHL, he'll be there. Picked up this summer. Nick Cousins, center, he'll be there. Philip Deneau listed as a center, of course, he'll be there. Max Domi will be there, and one surprising thing to me, they have Jonathan Drouin listed as a center. Of course he will be there, but they have him in center positions. They have him listed as a center. And right behind Jonathan Drouin is Brendan Gallagher, right winger. Then we have Liam Howell on a tryout. He's a young center. Charles Hudon trying to prove that he can play in the NHL again this year, left winger. We have Nikita Jeb Palavs, left winger, he's going. Of course, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, young center, will be going. Arturi Lehkonen, young left winger, will be going. Michael McCarron, center, will be going. Matthew Pekka, center, will be going. I have to talk about all these young centers. It's night and day from what it was last year. Last year, the Montreal Canadiens were starved for centers. Right now, they have their 1, 2, and 3 center spots slotted out. Deneau right now is the #1 center as far as we know. It could end up being Domi or Kotkaniemi by the end of the year, but 1, 2, and 3 are Domi, Deneau, and Kotkaniemi. And there's about 5 or 6 guys fighting for that 4th spot. There's Nate Thompson, who was brought in last year at the deadline. There's Nick Cousins, who was acquired this summer. Jordan Wheel, who I'm assuming will be on the team as a winger. He could also play center. Nick Suzuki's another young center who could be competing for the spot. Ron Paling could be competing for the spot. People are saying Michael McCarron wants to play in Montreal, even though I don't believe he'll be in a competitive position to compete for that spot. And Matthew Pekka is another young promising center. I've seen some things I like from that kid. He's a good young skater. He'll be competing for that spot too. So there's going to be tons of competition at camp for that spot. And of course, how could I forget Jake Evans? It's just crazy how many young centers the Habs have now. Last year they were starved for center depth. Now they almost had too much. Also, William Peltier, left winger, will be there. Michael Pizzetta, center/winger, will be there. Ryan Paling, center, will be there, of course. Nick Suzuki, center, is also invited. Thomas Tatar, left winger, is going. Joel Teasdale, I heard recently he was injured. I can't say for sure, but I'm assuming he will be there. Young center, he's invited. Another young center in Teasdale. Nate Thompson, center, he's invited. Phil Veroni, another young center, is invited. Lucas Vejdemo, another young center, 3rd-round pick from 2015, is invited. Hayden Verbeek, another center, 2018 undrafted free agent, is invited. Antoine Wake is a right winger, he's invited. Center Jordan Wheel is invited, and center Dale Weiss is invited. My God, so many centers. It's crazy. It is night and day from what it was last year. It truly is night and day from what it was last year. Last year we were looking at it. We had to know. Everybody was worried about Domi coming in playing center. We had no idea what we were going to get in Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Matthew Pekka looked like a good pickup as a depth center, but outside of that, really, what was there? Michael McCarron? I'm actually shocked. And on defense, the first guy listed as an invite is Carl Alsner, left defense. Josh Brook, is invited. Right defense. Ben Sherratt, the new pickup left defenseman this year, is invited. He'll be top 4. Ryan Culkin, left defenseman, he's invited. Gianni Fairbrother, left defenseman, he's invited. Cale Fleury, right defenseman, he's invited. Christian Folin, right defenseman, he's invited. Right side defenseman, whatever way you want to call it. Noah Jolson, right side defenseman, he's invited. Brett Kulak, left side defenseman, he's invited. Maxime Lamarche, right side defenseman, he's invited. Otto Leskinen, a kid who I think could possibly push for a depth spot on this on the team this year because he's really, really helpful on the power play. Left defenseman, he's invited. Of course, Victor Mete on the left, he's invited. Gustav Olofsson, left defenseman, he's invited. Xavier Ouellet, a guy who was there last year, looked really good in the preseason, he's invited. Jeff Petrie, there's no doubt Jeff Petrie is invited on the right side. Left defenseman, Mike Riley is invited. Left defenseman, David Skellenka is invited. Shea Weber, right defenseman, is invited. And as for the goaltenders, there's 4 goaltenders invited, and Caden Premium was not one of them. It makes me think they're pretty much sure they want him to be the starter this year in AHL. Other than that, why would they not invite him to the Habs camp? Like, they're pretty dead set on him playing in the AHL. Keith Kincaid, of course, he should be the backup this year. He was invited, picked up this summer to be the backup and replace Fantiniemi. But these other 3 guys, actually, there was Caden Premium is listed. Caden Premium did get invited. Actually, there's 6 goalies because there was 3 below the main list I was looking at. So there's 6 goalies invited to camp. Caden Premium is one of them. Keith Kincaid is the first one. Connor Lecouve from the AHL/CHL is another one. He's the one I know least about. Charlie Lindgren, promising young backup. Not the best in the AHL, but he showed he was pretty decent in Montreal in the 10 games he played. He had really good numbers and he had some outstanding games. Charlie Lindgren's invited. Michael McNiven, not really sure what we're going to get in that kid. I don't think he's going to push for the backup spot in Montreal. I think he's going to be maybe the backup in Laval. Michael McNiven is invited. Of course, our Rock, our Stone, Carey Price, he's invited, and Caden Primo, who knows what's going to become of Primo. I myself would not want to see him as a backup this year in the NHL. He needs to get real playing time in the AHL. Eventually, 2 or 3 years down the road, come in, be a backup for Price. 2 or 3 years after that, take the reign and be the future of Montreal. So those are the invites to camp. Some positions that are really, we should really watch out for, those right-handed defensemen, those depth right-handed defensemen. Is it going to be Brook? Is it going to be Fleury? Is it going to be, who else could it be? Is it going to be Brook? Is it going to be Fleury? Is it going to be Jolson? Will they bring back Folin to play the right side? It's really the depth side that they need. And there's really a lot of competition for the left side too, but in my opinion, it's a safe bet to say Brett Kulak will be the depth left-sided defenseman. Who knows who's going to play on the right side? There's a lot of competition for that. If you had to ask me if there was a gun to my head and I had to pick, I would say Noah Jolson myself personally. But let me know what you think of the invites to camp and who you think is going to make the team. So many promising young players this year for camp. And stay tuned for the preseason. Only, I believe, 2 days away or a day away playing the New York Jersey Devils. Habs hockey is back. I'm absolutely pumped. This is Scotty2Hockey. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Stay tuned to my channel this year for tons of live stream, tons of reviews. I just got a bunch of new equipment, a bunch of new editing software. My videos are going to get better video by video. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, folks. Scotty2Hockey, a.k.a. The Average Hockey Fan, over and out. Go Habs, go!